Yeah, cricket is where we start this Thursday edition of the SportsMax Zone. West Indies again let themselves down to suffer a heavy 238-run defeat, their second highest ever. This time to England in the first one-day international at Edgbaston, Birmingham, earlier on Thursday. Now, 4 English batsmen registered half-centuries in their score of 400 for 8 of 50 overs, with player of the match Jacob Bethel's 82 leading the way, assisted by 60 from Ben Duckett. Jaden Seals was the pick of the Windies bowlers with 4 for 84. The Caribbean men then struggled, losing 5 wickets for 79 runs in 14 overs. Shea Hope and Casey Carty were the best Windies batters with 25 and 22 respectively. Saqib Mahmood and Jamie Overton took 3 wickets each as England took a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. Now, speaking after the contest, the Windies coach Darren Sammy said his team just did not deliver.
We were really outplayed today by a team that is also searching for their new identity. But that display, that was just not good enough. You know, we've played a better brand of cricket over the last 15 to 18 months, and we just find ourselves finding it hard to start away from home, which is something we have to rectify.
Yeah, now Sammy was also highly disgusted with the performance in the field.
Bowlers were not disciplined enough. We saw how, England came out and stuck to a simple plan. It's a plan that it's a wicket that requires you to be straight and use the square boundaries from a straight line. They showed us how it's done. So again, it's our skills were not on par in any of the power plays. Not to start. We were chasing the game from early. 90 runs in the first 10. You always find yourself on the defensive, and we were playing catch up from then.
Yeah, the 238-run defeat for the West Indies is not a record, really does tell a story. The record defeat for West Indies in one-day internationals, 257 runs, came against South Africa in 2015. And just talking about records, the first time today in one-day international cricket that the top 7 batsmen scored more than 30. Yeah? Well, it's West Indies, and it's a good time to get some analysis from Fazir Muhammad, and no better person to put today's performance into context for us, to assess today's performance. And maybe, just maybe, with all these years of experience, Fazir Muhammad can tell us what went wrong. Faz, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon. Good to be on the show once again.
What went wrong, Faz?
You're waiting for the answer. Well, the answer was everything went wrong. So it's as simple as that. I mean, credit to Darren Sammy for being as honest and as straightforward as he could be. But I mean, just that point, I remember we touched on it when we were talking about the Ireland series, that the West Indies have to stop this thing about starting poorly. And there we go again. And it's not good enough. You can dress it up how much you want, different conditions or whatever else it is, overall, whatever. It's not good enough to basically be uncompetitive in your first match of anything. Far less when clearly it's not reaching desperation levels as yet, but it could get there given the way the West Indies are playing when we're talking about points to qualify automatically for the next World Cup in South Africa in 2027. So yes, essentially everything went wrong with the West Indies effort today.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to know exactly what to ask, Faz, after you watch a performance like that, because you are right. Everything did go wrong. It's difficult to point out any particular player. It's difficult to point out any particular point of the match. So we could talk about how poorly the bowlers started. We could speak about how poorly they finished. But in the final analysis, it's going to come right back down to the fact that overall, this team was not good enough. But we were having a discussion earlier today, and there are some who feel that the batting performance, Faz, was worse than the bowling performance. How do you assess it?
Well, everything is contextual. If it is that West Indies were batting first, would they have capitulated as quickly? Clearly, there's something called scoreboard pressure, and we need to recognize that. Because if you're watching a scoreboard and your target is 401, there's really no room for relaxation, and therefore it puts additional pressure on you. And when you've got bowlers who are well attuned to the conditions with a bit of pace and bounce as well, look at how Roston Chase, for example, was set up, got a lifting delivery that he fended away short of gully, or got another short ball and decided to go for the hook because he was unsettled by what happened before and was taken at the backward square. You had many situations. You had Casey Carty going across the line to a delivery that wasn't pitched up, short of a length, yes, and basically getting himself in a tangle, almost premeditating that tendency to the onside and being taken at extra cover. So those are just examples of when your opponents think you out, when they assess where your strengths and your weaknesses are. So yes, you could argue, obviously, on the face of it, that the batting was worse than the bowling. But at the end of the day, which batting side, before the toss is taken, says, well, we have to prepare ourselves mentally to chase 401 to win this match?
Exactly, Faz. And one of the things Darren Sammy outlined in that soundbite that we played for our viewers a short while ago is the fact that, the bowlers didn't apply pressure from the start. And as a result of that, the entire team had to go back and play catch up. Because if you look at the figures after, you'll say, okay, Jaden Seals got 4 for 84. But then you think to yourself, yeah, he picked up 4 wickets, but a very expensive 4 wickets.
Indeed. And again, it sort of references our language in the game, because just listening to the introduction and the narrative that Jaden Seals was referred to as the best of the bowlers. Well, he got the most wickets, but he certainly wasn't the best as far as economy rate. And as we recognize in the white ball format, economy rate is what matters. And he was, in that regard, one of the worst as far as what he offered. Because, as I said, 9.33. The only one worse than him would have been Matthew Ford at 11. And that tells you the story. If your opening bowlers are going to be so expensive, by the time they come back and make amends with a wicket here and there, the horse is not just bolted out of the stable, but is near the finish line. And there's Lance Whitaker with the photo finish camera, realizing that it's not even close, standing at the photo finish line. Because this is obviously a situation where the West Indies, from the very outset, half volleys, wrong line, short of a length, all over the place. And credit to England, because England are a team, they bat like a relay race. And that's why people are making a big deal about getting 400 and no one getting 100 and the top 7 getting 30 and more. Because everyone going down the order, from the moment they walk in, there's no settling in. They just continue from where the other one left off, because there's a level of confidence in that batting lineup that they believe a couple of wickets early is not going to unsettle them. It might spectacularly collapse every so often, but they back themselves because of their confidence and their quality to do things like this more often than not. And if you're going to come up against something like this, bowling all over the place, well, this is the end result.
And if you are a former Windies player, now bowling coach in Ravi Rampal, how do you correct this, Faz?
Well, I don't know what Ravi Rampal could do in a situation like this, because these things are not technical. Because we know quite well what Jaden Seals can do. We know very well what Matthew Ford can do. We know that they may not be automatically the very best in the world, that they've just come from a series against Ireland, who are not the toughest in the world. They are ranked 12th. The West Indies are ranked 9th right now. So it's not the most tough of it, the toughest of examinations that you'll face. But at the end of the day, it has to be the players themselves. It can't be that Ravi Rampal is going to say, or the previous bowling coach, or whoever is the next bowling coach, you all bowl rubbish today, so I want you all in the nets from 5:30 tomorrow morning, bowling for 5 hours. That doesn't achieve anything. What you have to try to do is get into the minds of these players and try to understand, why does this happen so often in West Indies cricket? Not just with the bowlers, but with West Indies cricket generally, that the opening match is invariably a mess. And you therefore have to make up lost ground. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And therefore, it has to be not so much an issue of technique, but temperament and readiness and understanding that you have to hit your straps from the very first ball.
Faz, in this period of the West Indies struggling to produce outstanding and world-class cricketers with regularity, how troubling is it for you to see that the West Indies were beaten today by a player who learnt to play his cricket in the Caribbean, represented Barbados in under-15 cricket, now representing England, and smashed us all over the place today?
Lance, it doesn't trouble me at all. I'll tell you why. Because he took his opportunities. His dad would have been based in England for quite some time, and he's made the most of it. Same for Jofra Archer. Before them, there was Gladstone Small of Barbados. There was the very first of all, Roland Butcher, who released his book just a few weeks ago, and he took advantage of his opportunities. So yes, it might rub many people the wrong way to see someone who's a Bajan boy, essentially. He spends a lot of time still in Barbados, doing so much damage to a team that he could have been playing for. But that doesn't bother me in the least, because when you see the quality of our players, when they are at the top of their game, then you know there is the talent there. But as I said before, it's the consistency. When people talk about world-class performers, we've got the NBA playoffs going on right now. When the top players deliver, you'll get the odd player producing a spectacular game. But it's only the great players who are consistently good, whose numbers always suggest that they're thereabout. So we live in an era where people are obsessed with the one outstanding performance and talk about it from here till next year, and go to the YouTube and TikTok and whatever else it is and show it over and over again, forgetting that the sport and consistent high quality sport requires just that, consistent high level of competition, which so far, as you just look at the numbers, escapes all of our top cricketers.
Yeah, and Faz, I know that the West Indies has shown a tendency sometimes to start slowly in a series and then pick up. But given the wretched away record of the West Indies in ODI cricket at the moment, how optimistic can we be that they can turn things around in the second and third ODIs?
We can be optimistic, we can hope for the best, but remember, England are in a situation where they can't take it for granted either. So I wouldn't expect England to be taking their foot off the throttle. I don't think that they're going to take it easy. I think they're going to be still looking at options and building their squad, rebuilding their squad after the fiasco of the Champions Trophy campaign and the disaster of the World Cup defense of 2023. So they don't want to fool around in front of their fans and especially their media. So it could possibly get worse. You might say it can't get worse than what happened today. But again, it's really going to be dependent on which West Indies team turns up. Are they going to be focused for the next game? Are they going to be consistently accurate with the ball, determined and disciplined with the bat where required, and sharp in the field? There should be no excuse whatsoever for shoddy fielding, and the odd brilliant catch in between doesn't always make up for poor fielding. So again, there are many elements which speak to a temperamental weakness more than anything else in West Indies cricket.
Yeah, fans will certainly see how things go from here. The West Indies losing this first one-day international. The second game will be on Saturday. One quick one before we go fast. So we've spoken so much about the West Indies starting slowly in these away series. And you consider, for example, in Ireland, where they played all the matches in Dublin, they were able to adjust as the series went on. The matches in England are being played at different venues. How much of a challenge will that be for the Caribbean side to adjust each time to a different venue?
That's no excuse, Ricardo, because this is international cricket. You have to do what you have to do. And again, you could go to a different venue. It could be the flattest pitch in the world. England are England, Ireland Ireland. With the greatest of respect to the team in green, there's a huge difference in quality between England and Ireland. So the West Indies can't come up with any excuses about different venues.
All right, fans, let's leave it there for today. We'll chat again soon, I'm sure.
Take care.
All right, the last time the West Indies beat England in a one-day international series in England was 2007. The West Indies won that series by 2-1. 3 series since then, and the Caribbean side is still looking for its first win. Not in the series, we're talking about a match. So that's 9 straight defeats now in one-day internationals against England in England. What would it be on Saturday? Will that streak end, or will England go 10 from 10? We'll find out. Let's go to a break. More to come on the SportsMax Zone. We'll be talking about Mariah's Royal Challengers Bengaluru. They're into their 4th Indian Premier League final. Will they be able to finally get a win?